my classroom because we are going to just take a rectangle or an array and break it into two smaller parts. In this first example, I have a rectangle with 5 rows of 7 squares. So I could simply multiply 5 times 7 to find the area of this rectangle. But I want to apply that distributive property and break it down into two smaller pieces. So I'm going to shade in just that bottom part. And I want to write an equation for both parts of this rectangle now. So looking at just the top, I can see that I have 2 rows of 7, so I would write 2 times 7. And now I want to write an equation for the bottom half of this figure. So I have 3 rows of 7 on the bottom, so I would just write 3 times 7. If I want to combine the top and bottom half of this array to find the total area of the entire figure, I would need to add 2 times 7 plus 3 times 7. I would just add those two arrays together. I'm going to write this equation out a little bit further on this slide. So again, my original rectangle was 5 rows of 7. Going back to that distributive property definition, I'm going to break apart one of my numbers. In that example, I broke apart that 5 into 2 plus 3. In class, we've been breaking up one of our numbers into two smaller numbers that add to give us that original factor. So 5 can be broken up into 2 plus 3. Since I haven't touched or changed the multiplication symbol or that 7, I'm just simply going to put it at the end again. And I have a silly story to help my kiddos remember how to actually distribute this number on the outside of the parentheses to everything inside. So the number on the outside, we actually call him Mr. Popular at the school dance. And he wants to dance with everybody at the party. So number 7 is first going to go and dance with that number 2. And they do this crazy new fad called the X dance. So 7 and 2 are having a grand old time doing the X dance. And since they're dancing together, they're in parentheses. Well, then he is going to add on another girl. And now 7 is going to go and dance with number 3. And they're still doing that fun X dance. And since they're dancing together, 7 and 3 would go in parentheses. And as you can see, the number that we didn't change from our original equation, that 7, is the number that's being repeated in both sets of parentheses. 2 and 3 were not in my original equation because we broke the 5 down into 2 plus 3. Looking at another example, in 3 times 5 plus 4, we have that 3 on the outside of the parentheses that I want to distribute to every single number inside the parentheses. So this original problem was 3 times 9 because 5 plus 4 is 9. They broke up that 9 into two smaller numbers. And so I want to distribute the 3 to everything inside the parentheses. So Mr. 3 being Mr. Popular, he's going to dance with number 5 first. And they're going to do the X dance. And then he is going to add on another girl. And then 3 is going to do the X dance with number 4. And again, since we didn't change the 3 from my original problem, and it's the number on the outside of the parentheses, it also doesn't change inside the parentheses. It's the number being repeated each time. So you may also get a figure like this, similar to what we had in the first problem. And it says the area of the rectangle can be found using blank times 4 plus blank times 5. So what number should replace the unknown? What you should do first is label your side lengths and write an equation that you could use to solve for this figure. So I have 6 rows of 9, so I would write 6 times 9. And I'm going to look at my two numbers and figure out how I can break them down. Looking at the example they already started for us, I see that 4 and 5 are not in my original equation over here. So that means they must have broken up one of these numbers into 4 plus 5. Well, I can't add 4 and 5 to get to 6, so they must have broken up 9 into 4 plus 5. Since I didn't change the 6 in the multiplication symbol, it just comes out front. And that 6 is going to be distributed to everything inside the parentheses. So 6 is going to do the x dance with number 4 first, and then he's going to add on another partner, and 6 is going to do the x dance with number 5. So that 6 is the number that's being repeated because, again, that's the number that we did not change from our original problem. And so our answer for this equation would be B. 6 times 4 plus 6 times 5 would be how you would find the area of this rectangle.